Hey everyone, welcome to the demo of the Summit, the goal-setting game that will help you have the most focused 8 weeks of your life. We're going to go ahead and follow Shelly as she sets up a climb to take the next 8 weeks and make some significant progress in her life. After Shelly signs up and creates an account, she decides to climb an 8-week mountain instead of the 12, and after that she goes ahead and begins to plan her expedition. Now, planning her expedition takes 3 steps. The first thing she has to do is set her summit goals. These are the really big goals she wants to accomplish over the next 8 weeks. After that, she's going to choose a reward, a way to reward herself once she's finished. And thirdly, she has to enter some consequences that she's going to pay for if she doesn't meet her weekly targets. You'll understand more of that later. So the first thing she does is input some of her summit goals. These are these really big goals that I mentioned earlier. Shelly decides that she wants to lose 15 pounds, and keeping in line with healthy weight loss of 1 to 2 pounds a week. That sounds reasonable. It's a quantitative goal out of 15, and so she records that, and it's not a work goal but a personal goal, so she inputs that. Now, just to keep things simple, that's the only goal we're going to have Shelly enter. She could enter more at this time, she could enter some work goals, but we're just going to keep it moving along. So Shelly enters her summit goals, plus she can add more later once she gets to the mountain. Her next step then is to enter a reward that she's going to give herself when she makes it to the top. Now, Shelly's had her eye on a whitewater rafting trip for quite some time, and so she decides that's how she'll reward herself, by staying on task and being disciplined over the next 8 weeks. The last step she takes before getting to base camp is selecting some consequences. Consequences are self-imposed kind of penalties that you have to pay if you don't get done what you said you would do every week. They're a lot of fun. They start out quite simple and they can get quite severe, but they're meant to be an extra motivator in the game, and they are very effective. There are some that are in there that you can use, or you can actually make up your own consequences, but you'll find that they get more severe as you get further down. And you'll understand consequences more once we get to the mountain. So now Shelly is ready to go to base camp, and she's going to click the continue button. And now we're at base camp, where you can see this will be her home page for the next 8 weeks. Now we're going to look at a few things. If we were to click on her summit goals, we would see her 15-pound goal there. But let's go ahead and take a look at the actual mountain that she's climbing. And when we click on the GPS screen, we see that right near the bottom on the left-hand side, there's a little icon that's hers, and that represents her. And the summit basically breaks the next 8 weeks into these 8 weekly segments, where she goes from camp to camp to camp until she reaches the top of the mountain. Now, how does she get there? How does she gain altitude on the mountain? Well, she does that by staying focused and completing what we call her 7-day goals. And this really is the heart of the summit right here. It's the process of breaking down our big goals, like losing 15 pounds, into the smaller steps that we need to take. So Shelly's going to enter her first week of 7-day goals here. In other words, for the next 7 days, this is what she's committing to. She's going to work out 3 times, then she sets a priority level on this goal, which she calls crucial. She's going to select whether this is a work or personal goal. And then basically, how does she measure this? Is this a one-time event? No. This is going to be a quantitative event. And so she's going to select quantitative because it's going to be out of 3. And then the next thing she can enter is whether this goal is recurring or not. In other words, is this going to be a same goal every week? If it is, she can click yes, and then she won't have to enter it week after week after week. So she clicks add, and now she's going to continue to enter some more goals that are going to support that big summit goal of losing 15 pounds. She enters in that she wants to stick to her meal plan. And for this goal, she decides to click on life or death. Life or death is the highest priority that you can assign a goal. Basically, by giving it a high priority, it means that when she completes this, she really makes progress up the mountain. Again, it's a personal goal. When it comes to how to measure this is a daily item. She's going to hold herself accountable every day for this, and she goes ahead and adds. Shelly continues to add a few more goals in there, like cleaning out the pantry of junk food to get a good start. This is just a one-time event. And then she really wants to create a habit of drinking 8 glasses of water a day, which is crucial for weight loss. So she's going to go ahead and hold herself accountable to that until it becomes a routine in her life. So at the end of this, you'll notice that Shelly has completed these 4 goals that she wants to complete for the week. You'll notice on the right side that everything is now measurable, which helps us focus. You notice she's got her life or death item. She's got items ranking all the way down to just, a good idea. Now, the life or death item is the one that she absolutely must get completed in order for her to move up the mountain. Now let's jump ahead 2 weeks and see how Shelly's doing. Now the screen is a little bit different. You'll notice that she's in week 2 of 8. You'll also notice it says a score required. In other words, she needs to get 80% of her weekly goals done in order to make it to camp. She's already at 31%, and it even breaks it down into some altitude if you want to find out how many feet you still have to travel. She's got 46 days left in the challenge, and here you can see the present risk that she's at, which is the most severe, which is hypoxia. So let's go ahead and take a look at her GPS screen. There you see Shelly. Her avatar is halfway between camps. Now let's go back to base camp. Now notice her execution score is 31%. So in other words, she's completed 31% of her weekly goals so far. You'll also notice that near the top there is a goal under consequence called give $20 to charity. And this is there because last week Shelly didn't make it to camp. She didn't get enough of her tasks completed. So she goes ahead and enters that in as a goal, and then she clicks on that she's stuck to her meal plan one more day. And now notice when we go back, her execution score has jumped all the way to 75%. Now she only needs 80 to get to camp. And you notice even her risk has changed. So if we click on now her GPS, we'll see that she's actually right on the edge of camp. She's almost going to make it. So it looks like this week Shelly's going to be safe. Now she never has to have 100% because no one ever has the perfect week, and so the summit gives room for that, gives room for error. Now let's check out some other things that we can find on the base camp screen, like the risks and rewards button. And the risk and rewards is just a review of all the different consequences she said she'd face, as well as the reward that she's going after to give her extra motivation. Also, we see a button called Dispatch. If you click on Dispatch, this is a place where you can get messages every week that are sent to you, basically some tips, some help, and just even some motivation to continue to stay focused on your climb. And then the last button down on the bottom left is the Sherpa Week. Sherpa Week is just in case you're having a really lousy week and you're not going to make it to camp and you've really blown it. You can hire a Sherpa. It's a one-time event, and the Sherpa takes all your stuff to camp. You don't pay any consequences. It's like a grace week, but you only get one of them. And so Shelly continues week by week until she makes it up the mountain. And she's going to lose her 15 pounds. Now, I want to show you another game, and this is a 2-player game. And the dynamic's a bit different. You'll notice on the mountain now there's actually 2 climbers. And what's exciting about the 2-player game is that you're actually roped together as a team. So here's the stats for Climber 1, and then you can see that Climber 1 so far has 50% of their goals completed. Now here's the stats for Climber 2. Climber 2 only has 20% of their goals completed. Now, in this week, they need to reach 85% in order to make camp. Right now, they're only at 35%. This comes from an averaging of their 2 scores. If they both don't achieve an average that's going to get them to camp, they both pay consequences. And this is really interesting because it ropes you together with your partner, so you succeed or fail together. Now, if your partner's just no good after a while, you can decide to climb alone, and you can click on this link and cut the rope, which is kind of fun, but we encourage you not to do that unless you absolutely have to. Anyways, that's the summit. Take the Summit Challenge. You'll have the most focused and exciting 8 to 12 weeks of your life. I guarantee you're going to make incredible progress on your goals and dreams. There's nothing like the Summit out there. So, hey, sign up today.